Welcome to Out of the Parks with John Marks. I am your co-host, Sam Stafford, of course, alongside John Marks and the one, the only Maniac Malloy. Don't forget, before we even get into anything, wherever you're watching this, like and subscribe right now. Maniac, what do they need to do?
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Smash the like button.
Smash the like button. We need yous.
Not smash the bell. Smash the like button. There we go. So, speaking of smash the bell, let's get right into it. Rockies are in town for the Philadelphia Phillies, and it's going pretty well right
Going
now.
well.
Yeah. So last night, obviously, Ranger pitched a full game shutout. He has 18 scoreless innings to this point. John, what are we witnessing right now?
Man, it's pretty amazing. I'm not even gonna say the transformation, because this has been happening with Ranger Suarez. The problem is the last two seasons, if you remember, he had a visa problem 2 years ago, and then there was a World Baseball Classic thing where he didn't get his regular spring training, and he still pitched very well. But what you're seeing this year is, I think you're seeing a starting pitcher that is entering his prime. He's going to be 28 in August. So now you kind of look at him and you're like, all right, well, what exactly is Ranger Suarez? We can debate. Is he a 3? Is he a 2? Is he a low end 1? Here's what he's been so far this year. He's been the Phillies' best starter. And what you've been able to get out of him in the playoffs in previous years are big starts and also versatility. He comes out of the bullpen. He can pitch as a reliever. He can pitch as a starter. But he was great last night. And the fact that he gives you a complete game shutout, last complete game shutout by the Phillies was
what's his Lorenzen.
Michael Lorenzen, no hitter.
That's right.
Correct.
Last season, my birthday.
That was your birthday.
Yeah.
What was the date?
Wow.
August
Yeah. August
9th?
10th. It was actually August
Are you-
9th, but it was my birthday weekend. Come on.
He tried to claim the whole
Come on.
weekend.
Malloy claims the whole week for his birthday.
I am not that type
Week
of guy.
before,
week
I am
after.
not that type of
Yes.
guy. I hate those guys.
But like you look at Ranger Suarez and what he's been able to grow into. I remember him coming up as a kind of an undersized, shorter starting pitcher. I remember watching him in I went up and saw the Iron Pigs play, and I'm like, oh, this guy looks pretty good. I don't know if he's going to throw hard enough to really be an impact starter. I saw him as a 5 or a 4. Man, he's been dynamite. And I got to bring this up too, just in the open, because a lot of people have accused me of being NON, negative on Nola, which
I was getting ready to say it. Go ahead.
which I will halfway. I'll say, okay, halfway. I've probably been hard on Aaron Nola, but at the same time saying like, hey, listen, this guy's not garbage. He's a really good starting pitcher. But the biggest thing that he does is he takes the ball every 5 days. I don't know how I feel about him in big spots. Well, man, he's been great. He's been great this year. The Phillies had the best starting pitching in the National League. And really with the bats still not being fully awake as we're in April still.
Yeah.
Starting pitching's been great. The starting pitching's been great. It's carrying him so far. And man, Nola and Suarez have been dynamite the last 2 outings.
It's pretty incredible too, because you got Zach Wheeler, who's been giving you some good outings. I mean,
They've lost
roughed
every
up,
start.
but they've lost every start with him. You know, once he gets rolling, if these guys can stay, you know, around the strike zone. And I mean, I just love the way Ranger pitches. Like he just knows how to pitch. His changeup works. He's got all of his pitches working. And like they say, he's got 0 heart rate. When the game's on the line in big spots, he's already done it. Gold Glove maybe this year. He's also
Another great
fielding
play
pitcher.
last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I know Mark and Sam before the season, they were talking about the odds on Zach Wheeler to win the Cy Young.
Uh-oh.
I mean,
Uh-oh.
are we going to go there with Ranger? I mean, if he keeps going the way he's going and he's going to be facing their third every time, I mean, it's not out of the question. And like, there's always like a dark horse that comes out of nowhere, comes out of the clouds for that Cy Young. Could it be his year?
I think if that's the case, I mean, it's April, as we always say. So, I mean, maybe we'll up until All-Star break, he'll be in the talk, and then hopefully he can close it out. That would be absolutely electric. We talked about it before the season that it would be insane even if having your number 2 Nola in that conversation. So if we had our number 3 in the Cy Young conversation, absolutely insane. You also got to love You mentioned it. He was at Lehigh Valley. I just have to toot my own horn because I covered him with the Crosscutters back in 2016. And it's just so cool because I remember starting my career back then. The farm system, but I was more familiar with Reading and Lehigh. They were the AA, AAA, obviously, and a lot closer than Williamsport. But it was really cool because I remember a lot of guys being like, oh, like there's very, very select that will make it from the Williamsport Crosscutters up.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to see. I mean, I think back in that team, we ended up, I'd have to go through and count, but we had a lot of guys end up making it, at least having a cup of coffee up here. So shout out to Ranger for that. He's plus 5,000.
Plus 5,000. I just looked it up to win
worth $5
to win the Cy Young. Yeah, that's worth $5 for sure.
Awesome.
But think about it. Wheeler is one of the top Cy Young candidates because
he's still the favorite at plus 550.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have a win yet. So, like if Ranger, sometimes pitchers get on a roll and they just seem that they get the win almost every time out because the team plays great behind him or whatever. If he gets to 14, 15 wins and the team is good, that's when you're going to start looking at him as a Cy Young candidate.
Yes.
That's one of the things that I wanted to bring up, though, because one thing I absolutely hate in Major League Baseball is the fact that win-loss is a pitching stat. And it unfortunately is huge when it comes to Cy Young.
Yeah.
So with him already 0-3, how much does that set him back? I mean, obviously he's still a favorite, but just in our own personal.
It does. I mean, it's crazy that he's still the favorite.
Yeah.
But unless sometimes it comes down to this where it depends on the candidates, right? So if you don't have a clear-cut second or a clear-cut third, and it's a matter of being like, all right, well, he's only 12-11, but his ERA is 2.2. DeGrom, all those years that he won the Cy Young, he didn't have dominant winning seasons. He didn't win 20 games, but he was just so much better than everybody else. It didn't really matter.
True.
So, I mean, Wheeler would have to have that kind of a season to do it. But like if you have a guy that's 19-5 and has a 3.2 ERA, he's gonna win. He's gonna win the Cy Young, right? And that's what Ranger has a chance to do.
With that, though, with all the years that DeGrom was at the top of that talk and did win, the Mets weren't at their best. So it was more like DeGrom's the superstar. He is the reason that the Mets are winning. The Phillies are supposed to be a playoff favorite, so that also might be something that comes against Zach, is the fact that this team is so good, but they don't seem to win, unfortunately.
What was that moniker, John, that you had about Aaron Nola? You're an anti-Nola guy?
NON, negative on
Nola.
Negative
Nola.
Nola.
I know you mentioned, Ranger being the absolute best starter by what I'm putting words in your mouth, by a mile, but it's not really by a mile. I mean, now Aaron, he's starting to settle in there. He looked really good the other night.
Well, he's not their Zach Wheeler's still their best starter. He's still their number one, right? I think what Ranger Suarez now has done as he solidified. A lot of people talked about, does Ranger take that next jump to being ace, co-ace, true number two? I mean, one game. I'll ask you two. One game, Aaron Nola or Ranger Suarez. It's Game 5 of the World Series. You're down 3-1. I don't even need your answer because I know your answer.
My answer is Aaron Nola and then Ranger Suarez out of the bullpen.
Oh,
there you go.
Back him.
Oh, I would do that. I would. I mean, I don't know Nola, but I would definitely pull Ranger out if I needed him out of the bullpen.
And he can do it. He's shown that he can do it.
Yeah,
big spots.
But in all seriousness, with Nola, he's looked really good, and I didn't think it was a fluky performance. He had a ton of swings and misses. His off speed he was missing bats all night. So he's looked really good so far. Let's face it, guys. The Phillies are going to win a lot of games this year, right? Is it 88? Is it 89? Is it 90? With Spencer Strider going down with the Braves.
That's huge.
Now you kind of look at the Braves a little bit differently, at least during the regular season. And maybe that does give the Phillies a couple more wins. Maybe they can win the division.
Oh, he's back on. He's back
I said
on.
maybe.
He's back on.
In order for that to happen, one thing about Wheeler as well is he's pitched well. It's not him that's losing these games. It's that inconsistent lineup that we keep seeing from the Phillies.
Yeah, let's talk about
they have been looking good. Of course, right before we're about to talk to them, they want to come alive just so that they make us feel bad, I guess, for talking. But what are your thoughts on that? The inconsistency from this lineup?
I think it's something that we're going to have all year long with this team.
Yep.
When you
Unfortunately.
live and die with the long ball, and I remember the Phillies back in their run, and you get to October and it's 35, 40 degrees out, and Ryan Howard's not smashing home runs because it's not conducive to living and dying by the long ball. And unfortunately, sometimes when your team is built on that, when they're not hitting home runs, like in April when it's cold out, then they're not producing a lot of runs. And that's what this offense is right here. This is not a, hey, let's move the runners from station to station and drive in RBIs. No, when they're smashing home runs, that's when they're winning. So I think that you kind of have to ride this period out. Bryce made you feel good last night. He hit a home run. He's got 4 on the season now. Turner's warmed up a little bit. Castellanos is Castellanos. But I'm just trying to get to where the weather is consistently warm and
hitting season, as Charlie would say.
Like June Schwarber. Do we need to say anything else, right? Like, he really hasn't had a big impact so far. So the pitching has carried them. The starting pitching has carried them. Let's get into May, and then let's get these bats going.
You're leaving out a dude, though. You're leaving out a dude. A dude. A dude's a dude. Brandon Marsh.
Yeah, man.
He has been just unbelievable throw last night off the wall. I mean, that guy, that's what you're going to need when you do live and die by the long ball. You need guys that are going to be able to pick up the slack when the big bats aren't quite, barreling it up as much. And you need guys like Stott. You need guys like Marsh, and you need Bohm to, give you that jolt, towards the middle and back end of the lineup. Whit Merrifield, oh my gosh, I'm looking at his stats right now, 107. I mean, if there's anybody that's pressing harder, there's nobody pressing as hard as Whit, trying to, get into
he
his
just
role.
signed in Philly.
Yeah.
He's worried about the fans.
Whit or without a hit. That's what he should be called instead of Whit or without.
I do want to point out. I do want to point
Christ.
out though that somebody was Whit Merrifield in our first episode, so maybe we'll have to go back and pull those files.
I mean,
quick turnaround right there.
He's been an all-star. He can hit for contact, he can hit for average, and you can just see that he's pressing. He's just pressing hard, and there's nothing worse to be pressing and trying to solidify yourself as a contributor on this team, and he's just not doing it.
Right, and you don't get, you're not getting every day at bats, so when you're out there, you're really pressing. But and I'm glad that you brought this up, because I had something on Marsh today. And I think most Phillies fans would agree with this, especially with how Merrifield is performing at the plate right now. If Brandon Marsh continues to get sat against left-handers, we got to have a conversation with Rob Thompson or something like that. So it's not like that you're having this right-handed bat, so it makes sense to platoon him. Brandon Marsh has earned at bats against left-handed starters. And the fact and the play that last night that happened, if you think about the situation, the Phillies are leading, but it's a 3-0 lead. You're in the 7th inning. There's 2 outs. That's a double 99 out of 100 times. If Marsh plays it perfectly off the wall, throws on a line to second base and gets the runner out. End of inning. Not, hey, rally starts. Now Ranger gives up the single. Now it's 3-1. And it changes everything. It changes the way you manage the starter. It changes the way that now you're thinking about the bullpen. It changes everything. They get out of that inning. It totally changes the game. That doesn't come up when you're just looking at splits left, right at the plate. That doesn't show up like it should.
Right.
And Brandon Marsh, just for his base running, his aggressiveness, the way he plays the outfield, it's worth more than one at bat that maybe you get an extra strikeout because you're going up against a tough lefty. I'm over it. Let him start against lefties.
I agree with you 100%. And we've seen up until this point as well how dominant that left field and center, it's locked down with him and Rojas right there. So it is, it's the talk of the town, I feel like, in baseball now. We, I guess, are like boomers of baseball because we seem anti-analytics, but I'm all for analytics to a point. You know what I mean? I'm more so eye test, but analytics, to your point, can hurt you in that fact. And I think that's one of the frustrating things about them is when you live or die by them.
I've been saying it since day one about how they have to stop, since episode 1, about how they have to stop babying this guy. Now, he's played 17 of 18 games, so maybe they are kind of making that transition to just let him roll and give him a shot, because he has faced a couple lefties and he's hit some home runs off of lefties in the opening day.
So is he he's an everyday player now?
I believe that. It would indicate that he's played 17 to 18 games. So yeah, and he's been your arguably best offensive player, I would say.
Consistent.
He's hitting 273. He's got 4 home runs. He's tied for the team lead. He's got 9 RBIs. He's 3rd on the team.
But he doesn't wet his hair. I don't know if you saw this. He doesn't wet his hair when he's not playing. The one game he didn't play, I thought he had more days off.
Baseball players are weird.
But so his hair's just dry. He only wets it when
I
will
like
say
that.
this as a coach, I want to see my players looking like Brandon Marsh at the end of every game. That dude is
sweat,
dirty, sweaty.
Yeah.
He leaves it all out there. You
can't have every player like that, but you need one.
You need at least one who's a spark.
Stott's kind of like that guy.
Yeah.
And Marsh is 100% that guy.
100%.
A dog, some may say.
A dude.
There we go. I like it. I like it. A dude.
They got dudes on this team.
While we're talking about the outfield, Pache, walk-off single the other night in the 10th, won the game for him. Does that give him a little extra life?
Sure.
I mean, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just like right now the center field job's up for grabs. And it very easily could be Rojas goes with it because there's really nobody else to bring in, or maybe they look at the trade deadline and they try to bring a veteran in to complement these other two guys, or maybe one of the guys takes it. And Christian Pache has shown in limited at-bats and limited time that perhaps he could be this guy. He was once upon a time a huge prospect. He was a big piece in the trade the Braves made with the Athletics. I think it was
you're on it.
The first baseman that I think it was the Matt Olson trade.
They traded him.
Freeman.
They traded him.
He was a part of it.
Yeah.
But Pache is a big time prospect. Now his bat has never come around, but like his defense is very good. Maybe he's not as good as Rojas. He doesn't have the speed maybe as Rojas, or at least the perceived speed, but like the job's up for grabs. And if you produce and you're good in the field, it can be yours. They're both right-handed bats. So Rojas or Pache, it's hard to keep both of them on the roster at the same time. But right now, I think you kind of go with the hot hand, and Pache has looked pretty good so far.
I mean, it's simple. Yes, you're right. Rojas might be a little bit better defensively, but I mean, it's only like a slim margin in terms of like how much better he could be defensively. Maybe he gets to a couple more balls than Pache. Like, I mean, it does come down to inches. I get it, but he is like just so much superior when it comes to the bat. I mean, he's got a little bit of power. He's got speed as well as Rojas on the baseline, on the base pass. Like, I mean, for me, it's simple. You go with Pache over Rojas no matter what. I mean, I know that they're trying this experiment out, and if it does work, they look like geniuses, and he's a huge asset if he can hit 250, and steal a bunch of bases and make every play in the outfield. But I don't know. I think I'm leaning towards Pache.
I will say
Rojas for sure.
It is going to be interesting to see how long they kind of let this linger and this competition go. I think one thing that hurts Pache is obviously we don't see everything. We didn't see everything behind closed doors, but Pache has had a lot more big league time than Rojas at this point, but he's only a career 175 hitter. So I feel like that has to hold some weight to him with what we've seen of Rojas. We've said it a lot last year in the playoffs and how he came up big. I think they're willing to give him that time because they, in their mind, might have already seen what they needed to see from Pache.
Who came up big? Rojas in the playoffs?
Did I say it wrong?
I mean, he came up big defensively for us at times, but he was a hole. He was an absolute AO, automatic out at the plate, which you just can't have come playoff time. But I understand that he did make some nice plays for us, helped us win the NLDS against the Braves. I don't know. I've got to lean offense here at a point, and I'm going to go back to that theory of, there's these teams that you're going to face when it comes playoff time, which is what we're going for, which is the end all be all, the end goal. You got to have guys at the back end of the lineup that are not automatic outs. You just can't have that.
They won't do it again this year. They will not. They will not go into the playoffs with him performing
now.
Like
and
that.
Also that career batting average that you brought up. That goes back to the trade where the Braves traded him to the Athletics for Matt Olson. The A's, who are a horrible franchise, they threw him right in there. They just said, "Hey, let's see what we got out of this guy," and he struggled. He did horrible, and then they DFA'd him. They let him go, and that's how he became a Philly. So, I mean, he was only probably 20 years old or something. I think he was like a huge prospect coming out, like when he played.
Yeah, he's only
for the
25
A's.
right now.
So when he played for the A's, I don't think you can hold that against him for a career average. And we've seen him do some really nice things. He got hurt last year too, when he was starting.
And when he had a couple of big moments there,
Good point. I did forget about that injury right there, but it's going to be interesting to see how long they give this. John, you heard us kind of go back and forth. Which are you leaning for right now between those two?
I mean,
if you had to choose.
if I had to choose right now, I think Rojas ends up being the starter. going forward. But again, because it just seems like it's set up that they want him to be the guy that is the starter. I think they really value his speed and his base running and his defense. But I mean, normally at this point, it feels like that this is going to be into May. They're not going to make a decision. They may not make a decision. Someone's got to come grab it. So you have another good 5 weeks of baseball. Once Memorial Day hits, that's where I think you're going to kind of see the decision. And a lot of times it works itself out. So, So I mean, I think eventually it ends up being.
Okay, so before we look ahead to this weekend, we do have some question marks now at the rotation. I feel like we're going back and forth. It did look good in our prior episodes, but now after both of their last starts, Turnbull and Sanchez both kind of looked iffy. We will see them in the series coming up this weekend. What are your thoughts on it right now? Do we have to be concerned?
I think what we said last week was that what happens if Taijuan Walker is ready to go and he wants to come back from rehab and you have Turnbull that's pitching so well. A lot of times these things handle themselves. The situation works out on itself. And Turnbull did not look good in his last start. So if you see that again, you're going to not have to worry about that because it'll be easier to put Taijuan Walker in unless that was just kind of like a bad start and he regains his form with his next start. I think Chris Sanchez is going to be a starter. He's your 4. He hasn't looked great this year. He starts today, so let's see how he looks against the Rockies. But, I mean, if Turnbull pitches well, you're going to have a decision to make. If he kind of looks like he did in his last start, I don't think that you're going to have much of a decision to make. They'll just put Taijuan Walker in there because no one's going to go kicking and screaming.
Well, we'll see with the Taijuan, too. He started last night for Lehigh Valley, 4.2 innings pitched. 3 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks in those 4.2 innings.
Sounds about right.
That sounds about right.
Only 1 strikeout. So
I don't want him back. By the way,
he's still got a lot of time to go, but it is worth noting.
I would say you're almost looking at the same situation with Rojas out in center field as you're looking at with Michael Sanchez. Christopher Sanchez. Michael Sanchez is a jockey at Parx, by the way. So no, with Christopher Sanchez and Rojas. You don't want to send these guys down to AAA. You absolutely do not because you could lose them. You could lose them for good. You could lose them for the year. They could get all screwed up. They could get hurt down there playing too. So I think if anything happens, you're going to see Taijuan take Spencer's job. Maybe they can go to a 6-man. I don't know. Something to keep in mind too is like not to get talking about Zach Wheeler too much, but Zach Wheeler's fastball, there's been a little bit of a tick down in velocity, so maybe a 6-man rotation could help him a little bit, try to, find that fastball again, another extra day off. And it's a perfect recipe today for Christopher Sanchez and also this weekend for Spencer Turnbull. You're facing 2 basically anemic lineups. The Rockies are trying to get out of town today. Sanchez should fare well. And also, the White Sox are, if not the worst, they're top 3 worst teams in the MLB. So Spencer should pitch well and bounce back, I believe. And then we're going to just be talking about this again next week and probably the following to figure out what's going to happen. But with all that money you're paying Taijuan Walker, it's only a matter of time until he's back with the big league club. You got to at least see what you can get from him.
Yep, for sure. Before we move on to the White Sox, I have to make sure I get this in because it's definitely worth the mention. How good is JT Realmuto behind the plate and as a catcher? He literally won the game for the Phillies, the first game of the Rockies series, with the play that he made. I still don't know how he was able to field it, flip it, and then there's a football collision at the plate with Hoffman.
Yeah,
but if the Phillies give up that run, that's the top of the 9th inning. The top of the 9th inning, they lose 2-1 because they don't score in the bottom half of that inning.
In my mind, he's not as outspoken by any means, but he's just such a Jason Kelsey on this team. And by that, I mean how athletic he is. I mean, he was like a pro or all-star quarterback.
Quarterback.
All-state. And so he's just such a athletic specimen, and he looks like he's never trying.
Sure is.
Why that look?
Oh man!
All the women love him. All the women love him.
I'm telling you, I salivated spring training. I was looking at his calves. I even told him, bro, you got the nicest calves I've ever seen.
He's a good.
I'm like, not saying that as a straight man.
The women love his hiney. He's got a nice.
Oh yeah, no, good. Yeah,
he's like the not to be too morbid, but he's like the reincarnate of Darren Dalton. Like he's like literally
built-
such a
yes.
carbon copy
He just-
of him. We go to the beat of his drum. And you know what? The last 2 seasons, he's had really slow starts to the season, right? We've always, we kind of get to about May or June, and we're like, what the hell is going on with this guy? Like, as good as he is defensively, the bat's not there. The bat's here right now. It's hot, and yeah, he's just a leader. He's the best dude.
Yeah.
He's just a straight dude,
He's
and he's tough as hell. He's tough as nails. He kicks a ball in the
Yep.
throat. He's just a badass. That's what I would say about him. He's just a total badass. Doesn't talk a lot. Lets his play do the talking. BCIB, best catcher in baseball.
Yep, there's a reason that they call him that. But Pat, going back to you talking about this rotation, you did bring up the point that Taijuan could come up here and be a 6th man, and we could move to that. And originally we weren't for it, but now looking at the lack of off days that this team has, it might be something to think about. And we have Mark Feldman, who talks more on it.
Hey guys, that's right. The Philadelphia Phillies only have 3 off days between now and May 20th. During that time span, they're going to play the most ball games for any Major League Baseball team. So the question is why? Well, the Phillies and the Mets in June are traveling to London to take on each other in the London series. It's going to be an interesting game, and over 5 days, they have 3 off days. So the Phillies in April and May are going to hammer the games and keep playing and playing. Now, the Phillies bullpen and starters ERA has not been impacted at all. They are tied for 3rd in the National League with a 3.68 ERA for the team. So the question for you, John, for you, Sam, for you, Pat, is will the off day tomorrow, only their 2nd of the season so far, wake up the bats and let the offense get going as they take on the White Sox? Back to you.
Great point. So looking at that, we discussed off air that probably the off day tomorrow is a huge factor in why they let Ranger go out there and pitch that complete game. But we have talked about the inconsistencies in this lineup. Do you think that is due to the lack of off days? Are these guys getting tired? It's rough weather out there.
Yeah, you don't normally play this many games. They just played 13 of 14 games before they get the off day tomorrow. So I mean, listen, they're making a lot of money and they're professional athletes or whatever, but going to the park every day and playing in the rain and the cold, I mean, they're not going to bitch about it, but it doesn't mean they're going to perform well. So yeah, I do think that we were talking about the weather gets a little bit warmer, but I mean, the fact that they're going to be playing as many days as they are, and then because of the London game, I mean, it catch-22. I love that they're going over there, but you need to make sure you have off days and travel days and things like that. So yeah, I mean, it could have an effect, a good or a negative effect.
Can I just say that the London series is a friggin' joke? That is a joke. It's a joke. What? Like, all right, shout out to Chase Utley. He's like living over there and he's like the ambassador for it. But like, why do we need to go play a series in London? Why? Like, to grow the game over there? Like, they play football, soccer. Like, they don't play baseball over there. And yeah, like, now you're going to have to play all these games. You got a little bit of a more increased chance of injury. For what? So we could play over in England? Like, for who? I don't get it. I don't get it. Also, the games that they've played over there have been ridiculous. They're like 13-11. The ball flies out of there. The stadiums are like they're like hitting out of a bandbox. It's not even like real baseball. And then you come back and I think the records for the teams when they come back from the London series, they're like way, way, way down as they come back and you just fade those teams. So make sure you bet against the Phillies when they come home from London, and the Mets especially. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not for it. And will this off day, like I'm going to answer Mark's question, wake the bats up? You can hope, but also, you're playing the White Sox. They should wake up.
Yeah. Sure.
You got a good pitcher on Friday. Garrett Crochet throws gas, and he was a closer for them, and now he's a starter to show you what that means to the White Sox pitching staff. And then Soroka pitches on Saturday. He was good years ago with the Braves, but he kind of stinks now. And I don't even know this guy, Nistorini, pitching on Sunday. So, yeah, you should feast on these dudes no matter what, off day or not. And it is shitty that they have to have a bunch of days where they have to play. You look at the schedule, though, they have games against the White Sox, then the Reds, then the Padres, Angels. That should be a series win. Play the Giants 4 games. That's going to be tough. Blue Jays, tough. Marlins, Mets, and then Rangers. So like it's a smattering of some good teams, some bad teams. You go out to play the Rockies before you head out to London. So it'll be tough. It'll be a tough stretch, especially on the bullpen, which is probably the biggest question mark right now.
I will say for once, I surprisingly agree with Maniac on that one. I understand you want to grow the game and you got to yada, yada, yada. I understand that. I don't necessarily think the MLB does it in the best manner. And I agree with you, Maniac. Mark said it. You have 3 off days within 5 days, but then they just played 13 or 14 days straight.
Right.
So it's just, obviously you're playing around with it and you're trying to grow the game, but I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's good for the teams. So I surprisingly agree with Maniac on that fact.
Yeah, I just think I would love to go watch the Phillies.
I love Chase Utley. I will.
Yeah, it would be good.
Chase,
It'd be
you're
a
doing
cool
a great
experience,
thing.
but is it good for the team or not?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes ultimately, Pat, is it something that all of a sudden baseball is going to become this hot sport in Europe, in the United Kingdom? I mean, geez, when the Olympics happen, Mike Piazza has to go play for Team Italy because they don't have enough
Right.
players to play on the Olympic team, right? But like, it's also, I look at it as it's like the Eagles going to Brazil. People are bitching about that. It's an honor to be selected to go to some of these other countries and to play in these international games. Is it necessarily what's good for the team? No, of course not.
No.
I mean, they started the regular season, the Padres and the Giants, in like the 3rd week of March in
preseason.
South Korea.
They came
Yeah.
back
So weird.
and had to play more spring training games before they started their season again.
That's pretty extreme there.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, have them play a doubleheader one of the days. You know what I mean? So that you can at least get more games over a shorter period of time, so you're not missing as many. I mean, honestly, I wish they would do more doubleheaders in baseball as it is.
Just
to have more off days. Yeah, just do
Just
day-night
to have days
doubleheaders
off.
twice a month or something.
I'm sure
All right.
the players would be interested in that as well. But you did mention Eagles going to Brazil. So this is a baseball show, and we'll get back into MLB news.
Hey,
But
also, and let me make it a point here. Like and subscribe. If you've been watching so long, like this podcast, this show on YouTube, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel on Bet Parx. Go ahead, Sam.
exactly. So back to the Eagles. They did extend Devontae Smith. And before we get into that, because you brought up Brazil, it's very interesting. So there's something with the Brazil stadium that they banned wearing the color green, but you have the Philadelphia Eagles playing the Green Bay Packers. How do you think that's going to fare out? Neither team actually wear
Why are they doing that?
It's the stadium. They just don't allow. I think it's like something with their rival is green, so they do not let them wear green.
Well, they better make an exception here with the.
Yeah. Do you guys think that they're actually going to hold it with the Eagles? Because I mean, granted, I guess you could have the white jerseys for Green Bay, and Eagles could go all black, but it's their first game of the season.
They could go.
Blackout. So there is a little bit of way around it, but it's still annoying that you even have to think about it.
They're banning the teams from wearing them.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you meant the patrons of the event.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm sorry.
Well, that also is
the
a
teams.
stupid rule. There's another reason why it's stupid to go to Brazil. It's stupid. Just play these games in the United States, for God's sake.
You know what you got to do for the Brazil game, guys, and we should actually do it here, is instead of going to Brazil and spending all that money and not being able to wear green or watch your team wear green, maybe let's just do like a little Brazilian drink and food during the game. Have a little like cross country.
So our producer is feverishly typing away that the reason why they're not going to maybe allow one of the teams to wear green is because the stadium where they're playing, the team's rival
I mentioned
green
that.
and
Correct.
they hate the color. That's what you said. So we've confirmed that.
In fact,
I mean,
some guy named Joe, his name is literally J-O. He's not a J, but J-O, who played for the team. He wore green cleats during a game, and they fined him. The club fined him for wearing the cleats. It's an informal ban that they threaten the players and everybody else not to wear.
Wait, so that goes to AJ Brown, who always wears like the bright like highlighter green so his daughter can see him.
I would make sure if I was the NFL that I would have an agreement going into the game that they're allowed. The Eagles are allowed to wear green, and Green Bay is allowed to wear.
You know what I'm going to call here?
Saying.
I'm going to call it out. Fake news. This is fake news.
It's just to rile up Philly fans, specifically to rile up the Phillies fans. But something else that also got us riled up is the Devontae Smith extension. How huge is that? Now you have Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, all until 2028 at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it's a great signing, and isn't it nice to be a fan of a team, especially the Eagles. And I grew up with the Eagles where this isn't something the Eagles did. They let Reggie White leave.
Yeah.
They let Keith Jackson leave. They pretty much anybody that wanted to become a free agent, because that's when it started, free agency. They just let them leave because they didn't want to pay them. And now you look at the Eagles and look at what's going on down in Dallas with Jerry Jones. CeeDee Lamb isn't signed. He's going to play on his 5th-year option. Micah Parsons isn't signed. These guys aren't getting the big contracts, and it's something that Cowboys have done consistently. They did it with Dak Prescott. They franchised Dak Prescott. Right. So now he has a cap number this year of $55 million, Dak Prescott. And because they won't give him a new deal, they have to pay him that much money, and it prevents them from signing any other guys. Is there ever that ever a problem with the Eagles?
Not of recent.
Do the Eagles ever have a problem of signing guys? Better for worse, Carson Wentz got signed early. Jalen Hurts got signed early. Donovan always got signed. Other than T.O., which it's 20 years ago now, and they should have given him the money, the Eagles sign everybody.
Right.
They don't have their star players that aren't signed. So, like, tip the cap to Howie Roseman for getting it done. But Jeffrey Lurie, because really this is what it's about. As long as you're willing to put up money now, you can make these contracts whatever you want to, but you got to pay them now.
Right. And
Jeffrey Lurie pays everybody.
Yeah.
So it feels great to be a fan of the team that keeps all their guys.
Yeah, and Devontae, I mean, that's been a worry like all last season up until, a couple days ago, like, oh, how is this all going to work out? How are they going to keep AJ Brown? How are they going to keep Devontae? How are they going to do this? And it seems like it's now worked out. It's one less thing to worry about the Birds. I'm ecstatic.
And not to mention just how genius it is. You have all of these superstar young wide receivers that are about to get paid. I think it is next year. So get out in front of it and pay Devontae Smith before the market really drives up, and then it becomes impossible to keep all these guys. So just good work on Howie, man.
Way to go, Howie.
It's a great point, because you look at a contract and you're saying, wow, Devontae Smith's making $25 million a year until next year when they're making $29 million a year. But the Eagles signing Devontae Smith is awesome. And like you said, we don't have to worry about that now.
Yeah,
we'll worry about AJ leaving after next year, getting pissed again.
And now we just need Howie to keep this streak going when we go into the draft next week. So we're counting on you, Howie. But looking over, we have some more things to celebrate as of now in Philadelphia, and that is the Philadelphia 76ers. And Parx Casino is the presenting sponsor of the playoffs. So go Sixers. We will be there tonight.
Yes, we will.
Yes. So
I'm terrified.
I'm
absolutely terrified going into the night.
The Heat, Jimmy Butler coming back. How do you guys feel about that? Pat said he's terrified.
I'm quick to tell you, terrified, absolutely terrified about this scenario.
It puts some weight on my chest. I think the Sixers always put the weight on my chest in playoffs because you can't really count on them.
Not so far.
Yeah.
So surprisingly, I'm positive John on this one.
There we go. Bringing it in for the team, John.
So let me say this. I hate Jimmy Butler. I don't believe Jimmy Butler. I'm not they should have signed Jimmy Butler. Screw Jimmy Butler. And the fact that he manipulates Joel Embiid, and we've seen this in previous years, he manipulates Joel Embiid to where Joel's like, oh, Jimmy's my friend, and oh, Jimmy. And remember after the last playoff series against the Heat, afterwards, Joel Embiid came out and talked about how they need to be tougher and they need to get tougher players. And he was talking about PJ Tucker, who was on the Heat. And it was pathetic because, like, you be tougher, dude. Your teammates be tougher. So screw Jimmy Butler. And I really think for the Sixers to kind of get on a run here, all these previous years, we've looked at the Sixers when they were the number one seed, when they were favored to win series, and they always came up small. How about the year that no one has an expectation of the Sixers, where they have a play-in game and it's like, oh, Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy. Ooh. Like, no, how about this? Screw Jimmy Butler. The 76ers are coming out tonight. They're going to beat the Heat because they're a better team. And then they're going to get a good matchup in the first round of the playoffs. And
if it happens.
And then, well, like they're beating the Heat. And then they're going to beat the Knicks. The Knicks are a good team. This is the year that the Sixers make a little bit of a run here. I feel good about
this. Is the Sixers year that's equivalent to the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles.
Bam.
And that's great. I love it. The expectations are not as high as they have been in years gone by. Sometimes that helps. And, they're calling for a legacy game tonight for Mr. Joel the Process Embiid. I think it happens. I am terrified. I'm scared. I do not want to, if we lose this game, oh, man, it could get hairy, especially for us here at Bet Parx. But anyways, yes, so I think a legacy game is in the works for Joel Embiid. His over-under on points on the Bet Parx app is 35.5. That's a lot of points.
35.5.
That's a lot of points. Jimmy Butler is 29.5.
Take the under.
I take the under on Jimmy, take the over on Joel. Another one I like, Joel Embiid over 1.5 3-pointers. I think if he is going to have a statement legacy game, he's going to take about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And, hopefully he is feeling it. Maybe you do a little parlay there of over 1.5 threes as well as over 35.5 points. And
take the under on Tobias Harris. I don't even know what it is. Just take the under.
I agree with you guys. I do feel good about this in the fact that, to your point, Pat, the 2017-2018 Eagles, everybody's healthy at the right time. Knock on wood everywhere.
Right. Except for Anthony Melton, who we really miss.
Yeah.
But hopefully he's back. I don't know what his status is for tonight.
But I do like the vibes going. I do like the vibes going into this. Tyrese Maxey, obviously a big piece of this too, but Joel, I think, is going to have a big game tonight. So I definitely take over 35.5 points right there. Okay, so let's get back in to MLB. There's some things happening around. Nothing really shocking at this point in terms of like who's at the top of the leaderboard. Yeah. I mean, you have the Yankees, you have the Guardians, but they also are in the AL Central. And then Rangers are 9-9, so maybe not as good of a start just for coming off their World Series. And then you got the Dodgers, you got the Braves, you got everybody that you expect. So anything really standing out to you guys?
I mean, I'll just say this. The Yankees being one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in baseball, as much as I really despise the evil empire that is the Yankees, it's great to have the Yankees be good. It's good for baseball. I think it's really good for baseball. They're a fun team to watch with Soto on that squad. And, the AL East is probably the most competitive division aside, that there is with the Blue Jays, the Orioles, and the Yankees. So that's good for baseball. Keep an eye on the Yankees as a team to bet as we head into the summer and the dog days. I'm happy that they are actually very good because I think it is good for baseball.
Yeah, they've lost a couple games in a row as well. So hopefully that because I agree with you. I've never really hated the Yankees, and when the Yankees are good, baseball's good, and they really haven't had they're playoff contenders every year. But has anybody really had the Yankees as a true World Series contender? It's been a while since they've really been there. So this is maybe the year where they have a different feel and a different look to them. And Soto does give them a different look to.
Yeah,
I have a
Yankees, Phillies. To avenge the 2009 World Series, this World Series would.
Who would Joe Girardi cheer for?
Absolutely electric.
It's obviously the Yankees.
But
I have a question for you because you guys said that you don't really hate the Yankees, but they are literally the AL version of the Dodgers. So, do you feel the same about the Dodgers? Like both teams literally just have whatever money they want.
I would say.
Dodgers are also
thing
good.
About the thing about the Dodgers is that we should hate them a lot more than we do because of our past. When we had to play the Dodgers all those years in the 1980s, really the 70s and the 80s, they were a big rival to us, and it seems like people don't really care as much, and I think we do need to start hating on them a little bit more than we do. And especially with the Shohei Ohtani baloney, I think you should be.
And they stole Yamamoto from us.
He hasn't.
Which we can thank him for. But here's why I don't think the Dodgers thing is like a quote unquote like big rivalry. We never really played them in the postseason. The years you were talking about in the mid to late 70s, the Phillies couldn't beat them.
Right.
So it was easy to hate him. You had the Black Friday game where Greg Luzinski was left in the game and he was terrible out in left field. Right. He made a fielding error, but the Phillies have gotten the upper hand back in 08 and 09 in the NLCSs, but we haven't really faced them outside of regular season games. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I like organizations that, and yes, they spend a ton of money. They also produce a ton of their own talent. They're not like, when I started to hate the Yankees was when they moved off of Brocious and Tina Martinez and Paul O'Neill, when those guys got old, and then they just tried to buy
the World Series.
I don't like the buy stuff. It hasn't worked for them. They've bought everybody in the last however many years. They haven't won a World Series since 2009. So like the Astros did a great job of drafting and developing. So I obviously hate the Astros for the cheating, but they're well-run organizations.
Okay, fair. I agree with you on that part, and
we haven't faced them.
Yeah. I was going to say it'll be different this year, possibly.
That'll be hate
if
week.
We have to go through both of them. Yeah. Okay. So moving right on. We got our rapid fire where we just get John to wrap up his final thoughts on a few things that we talked about during the show. So, John, how concerned should we be for this Phillies rotation?
Oh, you shouldn't be concerned at all. Top three you're looking at right now. And remember, this is without Zach Wheeler he's pitched well. He's pitched better than his record, but this is without Zach Wheeler looking like the Cy Young Zach Wheeler. Ranger Suarez, Aaron Nola. And yeah, there's question marks with Sanchez and with Turnbull now, but the fact that you do have Taijuan Walker at the back of end of your rotation as a possible sixth starter, it gives you a little bit of room for depth. You have some younger pitchers down in the minors that, heck, if you needed to bring them up, you could possibly bring them up. But as long as you're 1, 2, 3 or as good as the Phillies top three in the rotation is, I'm not worried about the rest of the rotation because I think the other guys will be good enough. But if you get that out of your top three, you're good.
Is Christian Pache going to be the center fielder by May 1st?
I would say no. I don't think by May 1st it's going to actually be able to be figured out. Maybe this season is even something that goes up to the trade deadline. But if neither player really pulls ahead, and I'm talking about Rojas and I'm talking about Pache, I think what you're going to see is a continue of going with the hot back, going with analytics maybe against particular pitchers. So I think you're going to see a mixture of Pache and Rojas starting probably until June, until they figure it out.
We saw the standing O work for Trey last year. What can Phillies fans do to get Castellanos back on track?
No standing O, please.
Here's the thing. I don't think that Castellanos would get or understand the standing ovation, even though it really happened last year and it's relatively easy to see, or it wouldn't have the same effect on Castellanos. Honestly, I don't know.
He'd be pissed off.
That's what I'm saying. It might
like, you guys are losers, lame ass.
I don't need that.
Yeah, no, I think it might point him in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
He might even get more inside of his head. He's a complex player. He's a complex dude, and you can tell when he gets his own head. Maniac Malloy sent the picture there night to our group chain of him swinging at a ball that was literally 6 feet outside. Well, he checked it.
It wasn't even in the other batter's box. It was outside of the other batter's box. When he looks bad, I mean, he looks bad.
It goes to show you that he's up there with no real plan, and while the ball is about to be pitched, he's being like, should I swing? Should I swing? Should I swing? Should I swing? And that's a tough way to live. So we're open for suggestions. I wish I had a better answer, Sam. I wish I had a more concrete answer. I'm still trying to figure out how we can get to this guy.
So maybe we leave it to you guys. Give us your thoughts on what we can do to bring back Castellanos. And the Masters were this past weekend. And Tiger Woods, dead last. Is he done? Should he just hang it up and root for his son?
Well, yes. And also, if he wants to keep playing golf, I don't really care. I'm not a golf fan. I had no interest in watching the Masters. Sometimes I'll tune in if it's an interesting story in the final day, the final 9 holes. That didn't happen. But I am still ill and nauseous from hearing the national commentators, whether it's on TV or radio, the day after the Masters being like, oh, there's still going to be that year where Tiger comes back and he's still got a shot to win another Masters and he's just got to get healthy and he wasn't healthy. And all the excuses for Tiger Woods, he finished dead last in the Masters. I don't care to pile on him because that's what he is right now. But to act like Tiger Woods is going to be coming back to being the Tiger Woods we saw 10, 15, 20 years ago, it's not going to happen. And quite frankly, it's pathetic that these commentators have to rely on the Tiger. I get it. It wasn't a great storyline at the Masters, but can we stop with Tiger Woods? He's not coming back, people. Sorry.
All right, John. Well, you know what time it is. The last 5 minutes of the show. It's time to go out of the parks with John Marks. Phillies, White Sox. This weekend, give me one player that we can bet Friday, Saturday, Sunday to hit a home run.
Well, listen, you saw Bryce go deep last night, and he really hasn't been hot at the plate. So here's what I'm going to say, all right? Because I think it's easy to say to Bryce Harper hit a home run. Kind of look at the weather and see when the best day is going to be, night is going to be with weather-wise. Put something on 2 home runs in a game for Bryce Harper.
2.
He already had one multi-homer game.
When he gets hot, he gets hot.
Yes. He's hitting the ball hard.
He is. The exit velocity's there. You saw him hit that home run late. So I would go Bryce Harper 2 on one of the games. Why not?
Doubling down on Bryce Harper. All right. As always on the BetParx app, we have a 25% live profit boost for you every Wednesday on BetParx. Here's one I'm going to give you guys. Take a look tonight at the Oakland Athletics versus the Nationals game. You got Blackburn pitching for the A's, looked really, really good in his last start. Steven Matz pitching for the Nationals. He's actually looked very good as well. Live bet that game after you take a look at Blackburn, see what he looks like coming into that start. I like the Oakland Athletics tonight. Use your 25% live profit boost for then. And then, as always, on Fridays, me and John have the happy hour boost. We're not off to a good start, but you know what that means? It's time to get hot. So take a look at 4:30 on Friday. We'll go live to talk about our bet. John, anything already off the top of your head, or what do you make so far of this experiment that we're going through here on Fridays?
I'm not happy. Obviously, we made our
it's not warm out, John. Okay, you got it.
Like the hitters,
really making up excuses here. Yeah, once you get warm, good.
No, but on Friday we're like, you know what? Let's go Phillies tonight. I forget, what did we take, the over, or we just take the Phillies? Whatever we did on Friday, I don't remember now. But as we've already released it, then we're saying
we're going to fade Falter over 1.5.
It was the Falter.
Bailey Falter pitched his ass off. Yeah,
it was the Falter thing. We should have went the other way, knowing revenge game.
Revenge.
Falter.
Yes.
But then we talked about, we're like, well, the Sixers are 7.5 point favorites over the Magic. Like, they're going to smoke. So the one we didn't officially select, we should have boosted.
Yes, we should have boosted the Sixers. And we could do anything. It doesn't have to be Phillies. So also, I'm going to say this one more time. Like and subscribe to the podcast. Like and subscribe to Bet Parx. And also, during the show right now, leave a comment. If we see your comment and we like it, maybe we'll boost that bet for Friday. So watch, subscribe.
Yep.
We'll help you users out. If there's a bet you really like for Friday, hey, maybe we'll throw a nice little boost on it for happy hour come Friday, me and Johnny Marks.
And also, Castellanos, if you're looking for a non-crazy bet to put out there with 2 home runs, Castellanos, there's a left-handed starter going one of those nights.
Crochet.
When he's bad, he's bad. When he's good, he's very good. So,
and he throws a lot of fastballs, so that could help.
And Castellanos is sitting on a fastball. Bang!
He could run into one. That's a good bet Friday.
Yeah, I like
Castellanos home run.
And White Sox are 2-14 right now. So Castellanos, it does give him a little room right there. To Pat's point, subscribe right now, make sure. And also, we take questions and we answer questions. Not really us. You don't really care about me and Pat, but John will answer all your questions if you send them in. So just send them in to at Bet Parx or Maniac or me at Sam Staff or at John Marks Media.
John Marks Media, yes.
Okay, so there we go. That is all we have for episode 3 of Out of the Parx with John Marks. Thank you guys so much. And don't forget, like and subscribe. Maniac.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button, please. All right, that's it. Over and out.